Alright guys, so this is the last example of your chapter 6.2 notes. So scroll all the way down or flip to the last page. Compound interest. So you've learned this in a lot of math classes up to now. I will give you the actual formulas. So this thing right here and this thing right here. However, I will not give you all of the breakdown of what every single word means. So A, that is your ending amount. P is your starting amount. R is your rate. T is your time. Must be in years. And R must be in a decimal. So make sure that you convert the percent to a decimal. And then N, you'll see on the left-hand side with compound interest, that's the only time you see N. N is not in your other one. But N is the number of times per year. So you'll hear a lot of different words in reference to compound interest. You'll hear things like annually, which that means it's happening once a year, semi-annually, twice a year, quarterly, 4 times a year, monthly, 12 times a year, and daily, 365 times per year. Your textbook will give you this number. Actually, in the real world, they use 360 for N for number of times per year. But in your textbook, it's 365. So now let's take those formulas and let's actually put them into some examples and work through these. So here are the two out of your notes. So the first example, number 72, is comparing quarterly versus continuously. The next example, 74, actually is telling you, well, which one would be a better yield? Which one would make you more money in the end? So number 72, I'm taking $15,000, $15,800, and I'm investing it at 6% interest rate for 6.5 years. So the first part says, okay, well, what if you invest that amount quarterly? Well, as soon as I read any word like quarterly, semi-annually, annually, monthly, that tells me that I'm going to be doing compound interest. And the formula is this. So that's all I will give you. You have to know what to fill in. A is the ending amount, which is what I'm looking for. P is that initial investment, $15,800. R is my rate. Now this is the percentage, so I need to take that, move it 2 places to the left, and that will give me my decimal of 0.006 over N, which N right here tells me it was quarterly, which means 4 times per year. So then again, N times T, which is 6.5. So there's all my numbers. I'm going to fill that in. Now the way you type this into your calculator does matter. So the first thing you want to do when you're typing this in is you want to do this inside part first. So I'm going to type this thing in, type that part in first. So I'm going to type in my calculator, and again, anytime you type a fraction in your calculator, you have to put parentheses around it. So when I type that thing in, I got 1.0015. Carry everything down. And then I also want to go through and do the exponent. So 4 times 6.5 is going to give me 26 as an exponent. Now I can go through and type that whole thing in and get out an answer. So I'm going to type that in. 1.0015. Make sure when you do that to the power of 26, you use that caret button. So, a lot of times it will come up, well, how do I know what to round to? Remember, this is money. I'm investing US dollars. So I round off to 2 decimal places. All of your rounding rules still apply. So I got out $16,427.89. With this, please make sure your answer makes sense. I started with $15,800 invested. Now, if I have a good banker who's not swindling money, I should get more out. So please make sure that, this makes sense. All right, the second part B, says, well, now compare that. What if you would do everything the same, except instead of it compounding quarterly 4 times a year, it's continuous? Anytime you see that word continuous, it's a whole different formula. That's that formula. You'll see it or hear it said as PERT, P-E raised R-T. So all your letters fill in the same. You're just filling into a different formula because it's continuous. So I have my principal, which is still 15,800. E is some letter, right? It's just some number out there. R, my rate, still in a decimal. And then times my time, which is 6.5 years. So now I'm going to plug that thing in the calculator. Do your exponent first. So I'm going to do that part in my calculator first, and then go through and fill in the rest. So when I filled that in, or when I plugged that into my calculator, I got 0.039. Now I can go through and type this in one go. Make sure that you use the specific E button on your calculator, and if you don't know where that is, just shoot me a message in a reminder, send me an email. Again, it's money, so I'm rounding to 2 decimal places. All your rounding rules still apply. So we're not going to take time to do the next example, but you're going to do the same thing. Plug in both of those things, one compounded daily, one compounded continuously, and see which one gives you more money. So looking down at the next example, daily, you're going to plug in n equals 365, that's what the book says, to this formula. And then the next one says compounded continuously, so you're going to use that formula. And you're investing the same amount of money for the same amount of time with the same rate. Again, make sure you convert that thing to a decimal for both of those, and you should be good.